Hey everyone, it's Shane here, and I'm joined alongside Daniel. So as you know, I've been selling on Amazon for 8 years now and generated multi seven figures. Daniel has been selling for 12 years. Is it 12 years, Daniel?
Yeah, 13, I think.
13 years. Okay, 13 years now, and generated 8 figures through Amazon FBA. And today we want to talk about Shopify. Now, me and Daniel have been very pro Amazon only, laser focus. That's been our energy for so long. But we started developing and created the Shopify towards the end of last year. And what we want to do is talk about our success so far, why we started it, how the setup was, how it was running ads, and what results we've got. So I'll start with you, Daniel. Why did we get started? I guess it might be a little bit different for both of us, but why did you get started, or why did you think it was a good idea?
Well, for Shopify, I've been very resistant to it for a long time. So literally the first time I've ever done it, basically properly, is half a year ago, right? End of last year. So I've always been extremely pro Amazon. And I believe in the power of focus, So if you focus on fewer things, you're going to be better at it, more effective. So it's always been, and I've never seen the reward being high enough relative to Amazon on Shopify. It's doesn't have the same potential. But we spoke about it for quite a while, and I would say you sort of twisted my arm a little bit and got me on your side to want to do it, and I became convinced that it was worth trying in this case, and I have a brand where it's pretty well suited as well. So yeah, that's why I decided to go on that journey with you and set it all up and try it out.
Yeah, that's funny. The for me, maybe a little bit different is that well, actually, I echo what Daniel's saying too, but for me, a little bit different in that I wanted to, and I wasn't sure if it would succeed, but I really wanted to develop the full, how I would call it, e-commerce repertoire. I felt like that was something that I wanted to do. Also, while Amazon will always be the major platform, it's like the number one place for trade in the world, in the States and the world. I do like the idea of owning our own, I was about to say real estate, but owning our own shop as well, whereby we have full control. That comes with that. So to me, that was made it really worthwhile. And of course, if I was going to do something, I'd have to talk to Daniel, get him to do it first, because I think two minds are better than one, and it's definitely proved that way so far. So if we're talking about the setup of Shopify, what was that experience like for you? I felt like you were actually very a natural at that, because you're not quite good. You're really good at developing a very focused plan. You would just list out full pages, whether it's into profits or your brand. It's full pages, full website. And I've seen this in multiple projects. So to me, looking at you, it looked very natural, but maybe that wasn't the case, or was it?
I don't know, but I did enjoy it, and you're all right. I like to be very systematic, and focused. So I, first I did obviously the research, looked at it, spent time doing that to understand the key components, right, and the building blocks. But yeah, I already knew a lot about it, right, because I've been in e-commerce for so long. So I already was quite familiar. I even knew one of the founding the guys that founded Shopify, the initial team. I remember Shopify coming from nothing, and so I've seen the whole thing, and so it wasn't really that mysterious. I knew what kind of ads to run, etc. Right? So yeah, just listed out the steps, and I actually thought it was going to be more complicated and more intense than it turned out to be. But again, that might be because I already knew a lot of things. We have a very good designer as well that I would say is natural, already has made a lot of websites and stuff. So he picked up on it real fast as well, so a lot of the work was actually done with our team, right? But So I'm not going to say it's not a lot of work, but it is manageable, and there are concrete steps. So yeah, I would say like building the site obviously is one thing, and kind of integrating it, because we create a very specific setup that is complementary to Amazon, right? Because we are primarily on Amazon. All inventory is in like the Amazon warehouses, and stuff. So at least for me, or most of it. So linking the two together seamlessly. So Shopify is like a natural extension on that business that already exists, was a very key thing to me, because again, don't want to create a lot of like extra work or complexity. Like, it needs to be focused and aligned with what already exists. Because I agree with you, like having the whole range and the whole suite and the whole stack, like obviously great, a lot of benefits, but I'm just so kind of single-minded that it has to be focused at the same time for me, So I was very obsessed about that. Like it did become a hassle basically. So we were able to figure that out, like, and it's possible to do. It's pretty amazing. So it's kind of like another
extension of Amazon in a way.
Extension, or exactly, to plug it into, connect it to the existing thing, and it's like another arm, but it's not a new thing. Like, it's not another thing. It's just like an extension. And then the ads, because we've run Google ads for like into profits for a long time, like 5, 6, 7 years, here to this company. So I already knew that really well, and I knew what kind of ads to run and how to set up the tracking, etc. So, I went through it all myself, all of that stuff, like the ads, the website mostly done by the team, but the ads and stuff I did myself, because I want to learn it, I want to understand. And yeah, it's a bit of work, but it's actually I would say a finite amount of steps, and it is manageable. So once you've done it once, I think it's a clear process. You can always do more, right? We have also not done everything. All ads and stuff. We've just done Google. But that's my experience, I guess. Like,
and for sure. I mean, you've got vastly more experience when it comes to that with Shopify as well, and obviously a lot of your friends in the space too, as are mine too. But I was just a little bit less familiar with it, so that's why maybe you took to it, which was cool. I loved seeing it, and obviously drew a lot of inspiration as well for mine. You hit the nail on the head there as well, because we've got it set up with FBA, or we're filling from FBA anyway, so the stock management is the same, so that makes it easy. We're still shipping to the one location. We're still utilizing Amazon's like super fast delivery. We just so happen to have Shopify as the interface, basically. We're talking like real Amazon FBA purists here. Shopify is the interface. It's not a separate thing. But and then obviously with that setup, it makes it a bit more seamless, So
it feels almost like an Amazon add-on, the way we set it up. Shopify, exactly. But you're also right, because I remember when we were looking at it, right? I proposed some things to you, or like I asked you, what do you think? And one of the things I was looking at is like, you could actually make the site extremely linked to Amazon, or Amazon gives us those options. Like, you can literally go and order it and have it fulfilled through Prime, right? Or they can pay through their Amazon account.
We can put the badge, right? That's possible. We haven't done it yet.
Yeah, you can show the reviews. Like, you can link to Amazon, like basically connected. So I assume a big portion of the traffic would basically just go through Amazon, or go to Amazon instead. Right. But we decided not to do this, and that you were very clear that you didn't want to do that, because you wanted Shopify to still be its own separate things, like own that traffic. Don't give it to Amazon, like collect leads, etc. And I think you were right. Like, I think ultimately that makes it more valuable for the business. But in the back end, it's still all linked. But it's just really the inventory, right? So not having to have like a separate setup for the inventory.
Because that becomes a real pain if it was, right?
That's a lot more work, especially when you have like dozens of SKUs, right? It's like a new marketplace.
100%.
But
it's fun.
It'll be worth it, but I think in the early stages, especially proving the concept, totally not worth it to go through that.
Exactly. That's right. Just to prove the concept and to get that, to get the build up and running, and I actually really enjoyed it has pros and cons, but I really enjoyed the amount of customization, because obviously on Amazon we're still learning more and more every day, of course. But on Shopify, everything is basically customizable. Everything is editable, you know? So I was having a lot of fun with that. There's still a hell of a lot more to come. That's why I know even with the early success, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I'm really positive about it, because I know there's so much. I know it's not, at least for me, I'm not sure how you feel. I know I'm not anywhere near as optimized as, let's say, our Amazon equivalent, you know? So that's, it's exciting. And I kind of get what I wish for, and like full control, and then everything that comes with that, all the moving parts. So there is the other side of it as well. But I like it. Enjoying
it's
it.
definitely trickier to get it working. It's trickier to figure out, you know. So 100%, like everyone should start on Amazon, right? And that should be successful,
100%.
like quite successful first, because if it is not, like if you can't do it on Amazon, then obviously Shopify, no chance, right? But if it is doing quite well on Amazon, I think the process of like this migrating it sort of over, right? Which is what we've done. That's extremely valuable, because it's like unlocking, you know, another 10, 20, 30% revenue and sales, plus probably a more valuable marketplace overall, more control, you know, could be more profitable potentially.
More profitable for sure. Well, it depends. It obviously depends on the ad cost, but generally speaking, from the people I've spoken to, it is more profitable when done right, you know.
Yeah, it certainly can be.
As much.
Yeah, for me, it's probably not there yet, but you know, I can see it happening, right? And it's different, like a little bit different, the behavior of people, you know. On there, I think there could be the potential for high revenues, like obviously upsells, cross sells, etc. is there. This is not as great on Amazon. So and it depends on the brand, the product, the price point, etc. as well, how suitable it is. But it's pretty cool, you know. It's pretty awesome to be able to add that, you know, to an existing
100%. And it has to be the right time. It doesn't it? Like there's no point, depending, unless you've like got capital there to invest in, like a big team. You're probably not going to launch on Shopify and Amazon first. Amazon for me still is the best place to launch, particularly if you're launching with one product, or you're launching a new brand. But then when you expand the product range and you've kind of captured a lot of that market or market share, then it makes perfect sense. And the main thing for me was, and maybe I didn't quite articulate it earlier, was I want the leads, I want the emails, I want the customer data, not in a maniacal genius type of way, but just in a way that like that's going to really drive long-term growth for the brand. I don't like the feeling of being kind of susceptible to, I know it's not Jeff Bezos, but I'll just say Jeff Bezos is like whims on Amazon, the way they can change things. So I do think at a certain point, when you've got proof of concept, when you've got a range, then to me is the perfect time. And it's when you should expand onto Shopify. Because if you can get up, and you would know more about this than me, Daniel, when you can get like the leads, you get some email marketing going, retargeting. I mean, these are things that over the years and over the decades, which is obviously how much of a long-term approach we're taking, like that's going to be valuable. And let's not forget, if you were to sell your company, if you have a channel like Shopify or a separate one where you own all that data, it's going to make it more valuable, you know. It just simply is. We're multiples, so
100%. That is going to raise the valuation quite a lot, because that's less common. You know, you have a lot of Amazon businesses, but not a lot of businesses that have both channels, you know, successfully running, right? Just like more than one marketplace on Amazon, same thing, you know, but even more diversification with Shopify.
Yeah, for sure.
Another point of diversification is obviously the ads. Advertising like streams, you know, because Amazon ads is one, right? You have Shopify, you have Google ads, but you can have a lot more, you know, Microsoft ads, say Facebook ads, TikTok ads, like it, you know, it goes on. So these are all it's all diversification, because if something happens to one, like you're still okay, you know, you have more. So we've just started to scratch the surface on that potential, you know. This Shopify really, right? So too early to say that's only like going to be 10, 20% of total revenue, like it is like for me right now, but that's obviously only with Google ads, right? Nothing else.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's a different, or there can be a different buyer avatar on Shopify, because when you have so much creative control over, let's say, the Google ads or YouTube ads or Meta, etc., you can tap into not only, I would say, when you're on Amazon, everyone's majority of sales come through their top search terms, your most relevant terms. On, as I would say, on Shopify, it's not on Shopify, but through those creative offers, you can obviously tap into a lot more. There is some parallels to Amazon, but it's a lot smaller. But you can tap into the real like marketing funnel in terms of bringing people from completely cold, unaware of your offer, unaware even of their problem, to problem aware, to like your offer, to your offer is the best, and then obviously to making a purchase. So that taps into like a much wider market should you be successful. So that to me is positive and a little bit different. I don't know if I'm quite articulating that as well as like as well as it should, but yeah, and to add to that, one of the things that I really enjoyed as well is getting back in touch with the marketing side, reading marketing books, because on Amazon, absolutely crucial, and it's actually a big benefit for Amazon as well. Me and Daniel both went back in and redesigned our Amazon brands, but being able to tap into that stuff, I love learning and learning about those stages and applying that to Shopify, but then also go back in and applying it to Amazon has been a hell of a lot of fun, and it's real like leveling up. I feel a lot more like capable as a marketer now. And some of the stuff you would have already have done, Daniel, through various projects and businesses. But and I've read some of the books as well. But for me, it was a lot of fun getting back in touch with it. And I think that's where actually a lot of power is in business and in marketing, obviously.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're right. Amazon is, we've kind of been saying that lately as well. I don't want to use the what is that, expletive, or like the naughty word, but like yeah, like, but in many ways it's like content over ads, right? Or copy writing, including like image. So we call it content, like copy and imagery and everything over ads. Like nowadays, conversions, but also just like the fundamentals of marketing, like understanding your demographics and audience and targeting and stuff. This and the product itself. This is the most important thing. USPs, etc. Because then you can run ads to something that's good, that works. That people buy, people want, and who to target. It becomes more explicit and clear when you go outside of Amazon, because Amazon makes it very easy, and it's sort of templated, and you know the deal, like, and the script, the templates to use. But when you go create your own website, it's less so. There's more space for creativity, and with the ads as well, you have more control. There's a lot more that can go wrong. Like, it's very easy to target the wrong people, etc. So yeah, it becomes sharpened. Like it becomes it requires you to basically be better at those things. That's why I think, like, if you can't get it to work on Amazon, you'd have almost no chance, like on Amazon or outside, because you then you don't know the basics. You don't know the fundamentals that make it work. Can make it work.
Yeah, and we've brought a lot of these ideas, but me particularly as well, bringing them into the agency. Bringing those ideas back in. I've, as you said, it sharpens. Obviously, a lot of experience there already, but there's no doubt that clients are benefiting in our agency now because of that. So that's awesome. I was just smiling there as you were talking. I don't know. Could you hear my cat, or the kitten, I should say? It's like
I could not.
Okay, that's great.
I was thinking, can you hear my baby? It was screaming as well.
Oh my god.
I guess our mics are good enough.
Blocking it noise cancellation. So when it comes to the ads itself, obviously we both set up, and again, you set up on Google, and that has been the focus thus far. What has your experience been like with Google Ads? Again, you're already experienced in this, but how has it been with physical products through it with your current brand?
Yeah, no, it's overall like positive, right? So I will say though, like there's not a lot of things that worked. Like it's pretty, like the shopping ads is what works for us so far,
Yes.
you know. But it's just
Yeah.
obvious, like that's obviously what we wanted to try first, because that's kind of like Amazon PPC just on Google.
Oh, I didn't try it
Um,
first. You had to tell me. I
yeah.
think I got set up. I think I got set up with like a P Max campaign, and I was trying to run like. No, I didn't. I was going to run YouTube ads. I didn't run YouTube ads. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, with an untrained pixel, you know, because
yeah.
Google doesn't know anything, right? So they have to learn right through your
Yeah.
pixel, and so I haven't gone into that yet, right? But
Wow.
hopefully the pixel will be smart enough to do it. Like I guess that's like AI, right? Because then when you turn it on, it would be better at figuring out who to show it to,
Yes.
supposedly, right? But my experience with Google Ads on the whole, also into profits, is that it's the more targeted stuff that's worked, you know, very specific, not the PMAX and things. But I think it can work, obviously, and I do think, again, it depends on the brand and the things like that as well, like how suited it is, like to go broad. Basically, like we've gone very narrow, right? So we're targeting just the people that are already basically looking to buy the thing we have. It's just what we do on Amazon, obviously, right? But then there's the broader targeting, which also has a lot more potential to scale, which we haven't really gone into. Slightly dabbled, but results were not good, so I haven't gone farther. But I'm excited to sort of go there next, right? And that obviously can unlock a lot of potential, right? But I do think for us, like it's not a lot of potential because the products are very specific, you know. For you, I think there's a lot more potential to do that because, you know, it can appeal to more people, basically, right? So it depends, I think, as well, obviously, on the products, what suits best, you know.
You're so right, though, as well, that like Google Ads is the natural, I think, first place you should start, or if someone else is thinking of doing it too. Because I mentioned a little bit earlier that like sales coming through the top search terms or coming through search terms that obviously describe your product. Google, with Google Shopping in particular, which was our best working one as well on your guidance too, Daniel, was is the closest thing to that, because they're obviously searching for the products. You want to target your top terms, and that way they're obviously, the buyer intent is high and you're much more likely to make a purchase. Now you're sending them to your product page on Shopify. I do think there's customization there. You could send them to other landing pages and stuff like that, as far as I know, and advertorials and things. These are things that I've learned about, but I haven't implemented just yet. But yeah, to me, it makes sense to start with Google Ads, isn't it? It's the lowest. It's the, I guess, replicates Amazon.
And it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool, like, because it Shopify and the tech stack exists, right? So you can actually integrate your Shopify quite seamlessly. Again, it's about making it, you know, making it seamless, right, or as smooth as possible, or as sort of focused as possible. So you can kind of like migrate your Amazon stuff over to Shopify. Like we found a process to do that. Plug Shopify into Amazon, and then you can plug Google Ads to Shopify, and it pulls, you know, your product listings like on Amazon, right? And then you have sort of the same setup like you would on Amazon, where you can run PPC to the specific listings, you know, on the terms that are relevant, and you have the same on Google, more or less, you know. But it's kind of funny, like with the shopping, you know, ads, because you can't choose the keywords and things, you know. So, Google obviously reads it, they understand it, so it works, you know, it works. But
negatives, right?
In some way, it's easier to run it than on Amazon, because you don't have as much control over like the keywords and stuff, but you have more control over other things like demographics and things like this. So yeah, but it is kind of plug and play a little bit, you know, quite a lot, I would say, because Google for the shopping ads will use your pages on Shopify like Amazon would use your product listings. You know? You're right. There's also a lot of other things you can run that are like directly to your website and stuff like that, you know, just custom ads.
It's just it's a project in itself, you know. So yeah, I mean, total agreement there. I mean, I seen it as well in my ads, because like you said, it doesn't let you target search terms. It does, but it does it almost through like how I would describe an auto campaign on Amazon, whereby it targets
Yes.
everything. So it would
Yes.
target like not even our product name or my product name. It would target like, what did it target with some ad? It target like American Express or something, just strange stuff. It was targeting. I don't know why, even for their algorithm might have done that, but yeah, I don't know. So to me, getting in there, negativing everything except the relevant terms is what yields the most results. And that might take a few days, might take a few weeks, but it was only then that we seen like conversion rates of like, because we all think about Amazon, really high conversion rate in general, it's the buyer intent, but we're starting to see something like that. I see in terms of like 5%, 6%, which is really good, and profitable search terms on Google. So that to me was really positive, especially considering we didn't, I still feel like there's so much we can do there, you know, but ultimately, as we know, the goal is profitability. You don't want to be taking on like 3 years project for it. You want to like do it, get profitability, and build from there, you know, get traction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have different, there's like on Amazon, again, similar, like they have different types of campaigns, right? So yeah, shopping is very much like the auto campaigns, right? So you've got to look at the search terms, right? And you got to add negatives when it's spending on something that isn't right, or isn't converting. Got to help it along. But obviously it's supposed to optimize by itself, but you can speed up the process, instead of wasting a lot. And you can just misunderstand your product a little bit in the beginning, right? So I've seen that with some products. For some reason, like this product, it just doesn't get it right, it just doesn't understand what it is. Or it's similar to something else, right? That is still totally different. And then other products, it gets it right immediately and it doesn't really have much waste. So it depends, right? But you're right. Negative, where it matters, but you will never stop adding negatives either because it will just keep finding stuff. But of course, like in the first 2 weeks, that's when it really counts, and then it should stop really spending money on stuff that's not relevant. Once you've had that core like set of negatives set up, and it learns the AI, right? So that it learns what's converting. But
and another like important thing, which I'm sure you'd agree, is actually, and that is what I didn't do at the start, was trying to advertise all products, which doesn't really make sense because you generally wouldn't advertise all products on Amazon either. But when we changed to advertising our hero products, that's when things started to happen as well. So that was very important, advertising the hero products. I mean, when you look at, I maybe don't even have enough data. As I said, some terms are working well, but some were like not working well. Were you seeing similar ACOS or like ROI or ROAS on those ads compared to Amazon?
It's higher. So for us, the ACOS is certainly higher on Shopify. I would say 2 to 3 times higher. No, that's not right. Maybe twice as high, but like the tacos, like the overall is 2 to 3 times higher. But the fees overall are a little bit lower. So maybe 10% lower. It probably ends up being fairly similar, slightly higher on Shopify at the moment, but that will obviously continue to get better.
Because you save the 15% selling on Amazon fee. Of course, you still need to pay a pick and pack fee. You're using Amazon, but you do save that. So you have that extra to put into your ads. And even for me, if you were like, and obviously Daniel is a profitable anyway, but even similar to me where I'm like break even or a little bit above that, you're collecting, like we talked about a little bit earlier, the leads and the emails, and eventually you're going to be able to retarget. And eventually people will start visiting the site organically as well. So these are all things that were going to happen over a bit of a longer time schedule. So if you can get ads running that are profitable straight away, and you will likely, if you've already got a solid brand on Amazon, then I mean you're in a great position.
Yeah, very much helps you build a brand as well, right? Because I think anything people buy on Amazon, they kind of associate with Amazon, but if they buy directly from the brand, it's just the brand. Like they just totally associated with your
Yeah.
company. So you've seen like repeat purchases, larger like customers or purchases, word of mouth, more like people. We also get more feedback as well, so that's a good thing, because you're
Nice.
directly interacting. Gotta expect and prepare for more support tickets, right? You have to handle it yourself. But
Yeah.
again, pro and con. Like the good thing is you get more direct feedback, right? You're speaking to your customers a lot more, so you learn a lot more. So there's definitely a lot of benefits.
For sure.
Adds to the workload, but it does obviously. If you have a brand that's already doing well enough, it's gonna be worth it. Like it's investing into that is. Shopify, obviously we want to be profitable. Ours is, but like even all the extra feedback and having that outside Amazon brand presence, the email list, the data, etc. Like this is obviously very valuable.
Interesting. Yeah, we've seen tickets as well. I'm not sure on the. It's interesting to say that. I'm not sure on the exact proportion that have come in, but yeah, maybe people are a little bit more open on Shopify. We have like a almost like a chat. Now it doesn't do a live chat because like we're not going to be monitoring it all hours, especially we're not in the time zone. But it has a little chat that they can open up and like insert a ticket, so physically. Now, or they can send a ticket, and maybe that's why they're it's more natural or getting more tickets because of that. But that's ultimately very positive as well, because as we know, shaping the product. I know some people can even on Amazon put their phone number on the thing. No, I haven't done that myself. I kind of considered it. I guess if you were doing like high ticket, that would make sense. But for me, I haven't done that. But yeah, I think the more feedback, better, within reason, of course. But
within reason, there's probably fine like it's 10% of your business, right, or something like that, and that's where you're getting most of the tickets and stuff, But if it was a whole business, that would be a lot of work, at least if I look at it like that's like we get enough to understand, the main, a little bit better, like the main concerns and the main things, but you don't need 10 times more of that, I think, not right now, at least.
We'll have to get a few reps in there. Shopify's reps.
Yeah.
Customer service reps. But if it scales and it comes with the revenue, then more than worth it, So I guess then, in terms of final thoughts, like, how are you feeling about the performance so far? Or maybe more specifically, what are you thinking in terms of next with Shopify and how it fits into the overall business?
No, I think it's been totally worth it, right? So glad you twisted my arm. You were right, and
I'm always right.
It was the right timing as well, right? So I think that's very, very key, very important, So yeah, positive, right? And I think most of the stone is left unturned, for both of us. Like we barely started to kind of scratch the surface on it. So only positive things so far. So if it has anything similar to the trajectory that usually happens on Amazon, things take time to build up and become better. There's so many things you can do to optimize. Then, it has a lot of promise, a lot of potential. For me, the key has been to create this sort of intertwined thing with Amazon. So there's obviously some extra work, but it's not a lot of extra complexity, and things that can go wrong. It's pretty streamlined. Doesn't create a lot of extra, except the support tickets mostly, like doesn't create a lot of extra admin and work. So very positive, like been totally worth it, and I expect it will get better. So I'm gonna continue with it, continue to experiment, optimize, try new things, try to scale and grow it. And I think you're gonna do the same, right? That's name of the game.
Yeah. And it's gonna come down to, I think, the creatives and the offer, And we obviously have good offers, but really like optimizing that for Shopify itself, because there's so much you can do. And then good creative. I know the biggest brands on Shopify are testing like so much creative daily. And then when one hits, change your life, So So that's what's to come, and we're excited for our e-commerce brands. I'm absolutely pumped because I really wanted to get in there, get some traction, and then I just know it's going to be a serious tool in the toolkit. So any final thoughts, Daniel, or will we wrap it up there on our Shopify adventure so far?
Yeah, I think it was a good conversation. It was good to kind of revisit and review things together. So hopefully it was valuable for anyone that is to be on the fly on the wall, and some good insights, because I think it's definitely Amazon seller like uniquely positioned to take advantage of Shopify, or like leverage Shopify, and get into it. It's definitely a much stronger position to come from than starting out from scratch, like on Shopify, right? Taking the other route, like kind of reverse engineering back to Shopify from Amazon, is obviously it works. We've proven the concept, so that's something that can work.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we'll be building the next $100 million brand. Till next time, bye-bye.